They said apartment 39 was empty. But every night, someone kept knocking on the wall, calling his name. What Michael found inside that room was something no human should ever see. The city of Lagos never truly sleeps. Even at 2 a.m., you can still hear cars passing, horns echoing, and people's footsteps fading into the dark. But that night, something strange happened in a tall apartment building in Ikeja. The lights flickered once, twice, then went completely off. In apartment 39 on the 4th floor, a young man named Michael sat alone in his living room, typing on his laptop. He was 28. A software engineer who had just moved into the building 2 weeks ago. He liked quiet places, but this new apartment had never really been quiet. Every night, he heard footsteps in the corridor, even when no one was there. At first, he thought it was just neighbors, but his next-door apartment had been empty since he moved in. The agent told him, no one has lived there for almost a year. Michael didn't believe in ghosts, but something about that empty room made him uneasy. That night, the power outage left his apartment in total darkness. He lit a small candle on the table and sighed. "Nepoya again," he muttered, shaking his head. Then, he heard it, a soft knocking sound. Knock. 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 It came from the wall separating his room from the empty apartment. Michael froze. He listened again. Knock. 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 The knocking continued, slow and deliberate, like someone was trying to get his attention. He whispered, "Who's there?" No answer. The candle flame trembled slightly, though there was no breeze. The air in the room felt heavy, thick, and cold. Michael stood up slowly, his heart racing. He picked up his phone and turned on the flashlight. The light beam swept across the room, nothing unusual. He took a deep breath and walked toward the wall. The knocking stopped. Silence. He placed his ear against the wall and listened. For a few seconds, there was nothing. Then he heard a whisper, very faint, like a woman's voice, "Help me." Michael jumped back, his flashlight shaking in his hand. What the hell was that? He whispered to himself. The voice came again, slightly louder this time. "Help me. Please." Michael's mouth went dry. He ran to the door and stepped into the corridor. The hallway was dark, lit only by the dim red light of the fire alarm sign. The door to apartment 38, the empty one, was slightly open. "No way." Michael whispered. The agent told him the place was locked, but now, it was open, just enough for a hand to fit through. He swallowed hard, forcing himself to walk closer. Maybe someone broke in, he thought. Maybe it's just a thief. But deep down, he knew it wasn't. The air around the door felt colder, almost freezing. He reached out and pushed the door gently. It creaked open with a long, painful sound. The room inside was empty, no furniture, no light, just dust. Michael shone his flashlight around. The walls were covered in strange marks, symbols drawn with something dark. He bent down to look closer and gasped. They weren't drawings. They were handprints, dozens of black handprints, small, like a woman's, and they were fresh. "No, no, no." He whispered, backing away. Then something moved in the corner of the room, a dark shadow, crawling on the floor. He pointed his light at it, but there was nothing. The whisper came again, this time right behind him. "Michael." He turned sharply. Nobody there. His flashlight blinked and went off. The candle in his apartment suddenly went out. The whole floor fell into darkness. Then, from the dark, a voice said softly, "Welcome back." Michael screamed, and for a split second, the lights flashed back on, showing his reflection in the window, but the reflection was smiling, and he wasn't. Then the lights went out again, and that night, apartment 39 went completely silent. The next morning, the security man said he saw Michael's door wide open, but Michael was gone. After Michael vanished, a new tenant moved in. She thought the stories were lies, until the mirror in her bedroom began to whisper her name at midnight. A full week passed after Michael disappeared. The landlord told everyone he had traveled suddenly. But the neighbors knew something wasn't right. His clothes, laptop, and phone were still in the apartment. Nobody had seen him leave. The building's CCTV camera stopped working that same night. Everyone just tried to forget about it, but apartment 39 stayed empty. Until another tenant came. Her name was Sarah. She was 27, an interior designer who just got a new job in Lagos. The rent was cheap, and she didn't believe in ghost stories. When the agent told her, "People complain of strange sounds there," she laughed. "I beg, I've lived in worse places." She moved in on a Saturday afternoon. The sun was bright, and everything seemed normal. She loved how big the apartment was, clean walls, new tiles, and a nice balcony view. But there was one thing she didn't like, the mirror in the bedroom. It was tall, old, and fixed into the wall. The glass had scratches that looked almost like hand marks. Sarah tried to ignore it. That night, she unpacked her things, cooked noodles, and watched a movie. Around 11 p.m., she went to bed. At first, everything was calm. Then she heard it, a faint knocking sound. Knock. 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 It came from the wall beside her bed, the same wall that divided her apartment from the empty one next door. Sarah frowned. These neighbors SEF, can't they sleep? But when she remembered the agent said that room was empty, her smile faded. She turned off the TV and listened closely. The knocking stopped. Then, a whisper came through the wall, "Help me." Sarah froze. The voice was faint but clear, a man's voice. "Hello," she said softly. No reply. She waited for a few seconds. Then it came again. "Help me." "Sarah." Her heart skipped. "How do you know my name?" she whispered. The air in the room grew colder. Her breath came out as mist. The mirror on the wall started to vibrate slightly. Sarah stepped back, eyes wide. She grabbed her phone and turned on the flashlight. When she faced the mirror, she gasped. Behind her reflection, she saw someone standing, a tall man, his face pale and eyes hollow. He stood right behind her, but when she turned around, no one was there. "Jesus Christ," she whispered, trembling. Her reflection smiled. But she wasn't smiling. The mirror cracked slightly. A low humming sound filled the room. Then, faintly, she heard the same voice again. "They never let me leave." Sarah screamed and ran out of the bedroom. She spent the night on the couch with all the lights on. The next morning, she told the caretaker. He looked scared when she mentioned the mirror. "Madam," he said quietly, "that mirror has been there since the first tenant." "Which tenant?" she asked. "A man named Michael. He disappeared last year." Sarah felt chills down her spine. "What happened to him?" The caretaker shook his head. "Nobody knows. Police came. Found nothing." Sarah decided to call a pastor that same day. The pastor came with an assistant and prayed around the house. Everything was calm until he entered the bedroom. He stopped, staring at the mirror. "Something lives inside here," he said softly. Sarah's body went cold. The pastor sprinkled holy water on the mirror. The glass started to hiss, like hot metal in water. Then it cracked even more, forming the shape of a human hand. "Back away." The pastor shouted, but before they could move, the lights went off. Darkness swallowed the room. Sarah felt something cold grab her wrist. She screamed, trying to pull away. "Let me go." Then a voice whispered right beside her ear, "He never left, Sarah." The lights came back on. The mirror was gone. In its place was a large black stain, like a shadow burnt into the wall. The pastor fell to his knees, panting. "It's not finished," he said. Something opened. Sarah packed her bags that night. She told the landlord she was leaving. The landlord refused to refund her money, saying it was her fault, so she left everything, clothes, furniture, even her TV. As she walked out of the building, she turned to look at apartment 39 one last time. Through the window, she saw a man's face staring at her. It was Michael, and he was smiling. Some doors should never be opened. But when Sarah returned to apartment 39 to uncover the truth, she discovered the one thing worse than death, a soul that never leaves. 2 months had passed since Sarah ran away from apartment 39. She tried to forget everything, the whispers, the mirror, and the man's face at the window, but nightmares wouldn't let her rest. Every night, she dreamed of a man trapped inside a dark room, banging on the walls, begging to be freed. Sometimes she woke up with bruises on her arms, the same place where that cold hand had grabbed her. Her friends said it was stress, but deep down, she knew something was still calling her back. One evening, she got a message from an unknown number. It only said, "Come back. Apartment 39 wants you." Sarah's hands shook as she dropped her phone. The same moment, the lights in her new flat flickered twice, just like they did that first night. She whispered, "No, not again." But the voice came softly through her window, "Please. Help me." That same voice, Michael's, against all reason, Sarah decided to return. "Maybe I can finish what was started," she said to herself. The next morning, she went back to the old building. The gatekeeper was gone, the compound was quiet, and the whole place looked abandoned. The paint had peeled, and the windows were covered in dust. She climbed the stairs to the 4th floor. Her footsteps echoing. The door to apartment 39 was open, just slightly, like it had been waiting for her. She pushed it gently. The inside was exactly how she left it, her furniture still there, untouched, but the mirror was back, standing tall in the same place on the bedroom wall. She stepped closer and whispered, "Michael." At first, there was nothing. Then the mirror shimmered faintly, like water. A face appeared, pale, weak, and frightened. "Sarah." "It was him." "I can't leave," he said, his voice trembling. "They trapped me here. You have to destroy the mirror." Sarah's heart pounded. "Who trapped you?" He shook his head. "The landlord. He used this mirror for something evil. It's a gate." "A gate?" she whispered. "Between their world and ours," Michael said, "once the mirror takes your reflection, it keeps your soul." Sarah's breathing grew faster. "Then how do I free you?" "Break it," Michael said, "before it takes another life." Sarah looked around and grabbed a small hammer from her drawer. She raised it high, but before she could strike, a deep, cold voice echoed in the room. "You cannot break what you already belong to." Sarah froze. The room turned darker, like the walls themselves were closing in. The shadow on the wall stretched, forming the shape of a tall man. The shadow's eyes opened, red and burning. "She's mine now," it growled. Sarah screamed and swung the hammer. The mirror shattered into 1,000 pieces. The sound echoed through the entire building. Light burst out from the cracks, blinding white light, then silence. When Sarah opened her eyes, the room was empty. The mirror was gone. Michael's voice whispered softly, "Thank you." And then, nothing. She sighed in relief and walked toward the door, but as she was about to leave, she caught a glimpse of her reflection in one of the broken mirror pieces on the floor. Her reflection smiled. She didn't. Her reflection slowly raised its hand and waved goodbye. Then it whispered, "Welcome home, Sarah." Her eyes widened. The door slammed shut by itself. The lights went out. The next morning, the caretaker returned to check the building. The door to apartment 39 was wide open again. Everything inside was covered in dust, except one thing, the mirror, perfectly whole, and in the mirror's reflection stood two people, Michael and Sarah, both smiling, both never seen again. If you ever move into a new apartment, and there's an old mirror on the wall, don't look too long, because sometimes, it's not just your reflection. Looking back, sometimes, it's someone waiting to take your place.